Face went and got something out of his car as opposed to actually engaging in a.
And that's a Wack narrative that you've been running with too, because we don't have any proof of that other than Wack saying that.
Well, I've been told that by various people,
J Hood and Wack,
including people who won't say it on camera.
So 1 minute they squabbled, next minute they talked it out. Now Spoety pulled out a blower. Literally, the story keeps on changing.
They said that when they tucked off, they went around the corner.
I got cameras up and down this whole block. You say, hey, that's a PC move, especially to someone who has had controversy on the internet because they were on a yard that is not like a PC yard, but a 50-50 yard. I mean, you don't really like say that to somebody like J Hood without expecting that it's going to go there, right?
No, I understand that, but people are kind of misplacing that because that's after J Hood said we could squabble.
They both
that's
escalated.
That's after J Hood, and then Spoty's like, "Oh, you doing this kind of?" He felt like he was clout chasing. That's why he said the PC comment. I feel like, and then that escalated even further. But J Hood had already said we could squabble. You know, after the pod, we could squabble.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it was just as surprising to me as everybody. Everybody thinks I have like divine knowledge of how these things are going to play out, and in reality, I thought that J Hood was just going to be a good addition to the pod. And I thought, notably, when I had Munchie and J Hood on the podcast together, I talked about how I thought that it was important that I get them on the same page. I didn't know that there was going to be any potential for conflict between Spoety Face and J Hood. And I didn't know that the Wack thing was going to be the thing that like was so serious.
Yeah, there can be conflict. Spoety Face isn't cool with Wack, and J Hood rocks with him, so conflict can for sure happen. Also, they are from different gangs. Getting called out and not doing shit can result in a DP.
That they would feel the need to go handle each other out in the parking lot.
But you don't feel any responsibility for you being the person that headed the Wack conversation and kind of brought up the things. So Spoety wasn't saying any. Like, Spoty's always saying Wack's sparked the conversation that led to the fight.
mean, like, I don't understand how me bringing up a person that one of them likes and one of them doesn't like is like why would I think that that would lead to them?
So you think him dissing Wack, J Hood would just play it off? Now that's not how it works. That is why he said we can squabble, but apparently they talked it out, and new information they are saying he got the blower, so we will find out more information. But what I heard was they crashed out on each other but got into an agreement.
Yeah, I don't think it would, but if I'd said that and I didn't think that would lead to them did, I feel like I would have a responsibility to diffuse a situation.
No,
if I knew that Spoety Face was going to go and get the whoopty wop, then I would have probably said that. But allegedly. I thought that they were going to do something that was a little bit more chill. When I
do something a little more chill, man, you tripping.
I found out that Spoety Face was, I guess, not into the whole thing. That's what kind of blew my mind later on when I realized that, like, oh, I thought they were about to shoot a fair one. Turns out Spoety Face just wanted to shoot somebody.
Bro, this story sounds all over the place. Maybe some of it happened, but why the story keep changing? First it was, they pulled up and caught the fade. Then it turned into, nah, they just talked it out. Now all of a sudden somebody got the blower involved. What's next? Somebody is going to say they settled it with a Crip walk contest.
Also, though, how could it be
I don't
a fair
believe that.
one if they don't?
You seriously don't believe that?
I really don't believe that at all.
That's crazy.
Just because it came from Wack and J Hood first, and then now
you
it's
really
like
think
from
J Hood would lie about that?
I don't know. I really don't
the
know.
only person who has an incentive to lie about it.
But it just doesn't really make sense. Like, why would he go outside, even agree to go outside if he was just gonna go to the car and get away?
So no thrown. Is that confirmed that nobody got?
I personally, I think thrown because I don't understand how J Hood appeared, but I think like Spoety Face and J Hood, basically I know that they got on the phone and agreed to not discuss what happened outside. So that's why I think it's confusing to people and they don't feel like they're getting the full story because they came to an agreement between each other to not tell the full story. But along the way, various people have kind of leaked the full story. So
Yeah,
I feel like I have an understanding of what happened, even though even tomorrow, I don't think J Hood's going to sit there and like give everybody the juicy details that they probably want, you know?
It's just still not fair because Spoety doesn't have a Wack up here that's going to pretty much tell the story. But in J Hood's favor, he's told me and showed me text messages conveying that J Hood on Spoety and Spoety pretty much ducked it and then went and got the blammy or clutched the blammy. That's what he was trying to portray to me. I just don't want it to be like a thing where Spoety has a Wack guy on the pod that's able to challenge to when Spoety will never have a guy on the Adam and Wack show that's going to be checking Wack and being like, I'm standing on the Spoety hill. We could go outside, you know?
To be fair, like J Hood, his attitude on it is like, that he's really, really new to the internet because he was gone for so long.
For sure.
You know, Spoety Face says, like, I was in prison, but J Hood was in prison, like, much more recently. And J Hood, like, to put into perspective of how green to the internet he is, he was like, damn, I had no idea that so many people hated Unk.
Oh, yeah, I seen that
about
text.
I see that.
That
Yeah, he's going to have a lot of fades.
that shows a level of greenness when it comes to the No Jumper fan base and the internet overall that is like, damn, like, he thought that this was something that it wasn't, because I mean, all of us know that the Wack hatred is a tidal wave, and I've only seen it get worse since he started doing a podcast on No Jumper. You know, so the fact that J Hood was in any way surprised by that was kind of like, oh, I should assume that you might not know things that I would assume that everybody would know when it comes to the internet, because all of us knew that Wack has, you know, a massive army of people who hate him.
There you have it. What we actually know was Spoety and J-Hood going back and forth over Wack, throwing shots at each other, and making it clear there was real problems. The shit kept escalating until J-Hood challenged Spoety for the fade. Spoety agreed, and both of them went outside. After that, that's when the whole story started getting all over the place. At first, they said they linked up and caught the fade. Then all of a sudden the narrative switched up. Now they said there was never a fade and that they actually talked it out, had a conversation, and kept it pushing. But now the story changed again. Another version started making its rounds saying a blower got involved.
Have any proof of that other than Wack saying that?
Well, I've been told that by various people,
J Hood and Wack.
including people who won't say it on camera.
Are you serious?
I don't know about that.
Okay, wait.
What?
That's not up for debate.
I think that is up for debate.
No,
That's
that's
straight
not
from
what-
Wack and J Hood. That is absolutely
That's
up
coming
for
from
debate.
people I've talked to, and that's coming from the person who has access to the cameras.
But they said that when they tucked off, they went around the corner.
I got cameras up and down this whole block. You say, hey, that's a PC move, especially to someone who has had controversy on the internet because they were on a yard that is not like a PC yard, but a
They all speak on it like they got the official version, but none of the stories seem to line up. Depending on who you listen to, you will walk away with a completely different understanding of what happened outside.
J Hood said we could squabble.
They both
That's
escalated.
After, that's after J Hood, and then Spoty's like, "Oh, you doing this kind of?" He felt like he was clout chasing. That's why he said the PC comment. I feel like, and then that escalated even further. But J Hood had already said we could squabble. You know, after the pod, we could squabble. You know?
I mean, hey, it was just as surprising to me as everybody. Everybody thinks I have like divine knowledge of how these things are going to play out, and in reality, I thought that J Hood was just going to be a good addition to the pod, and I thought, notably, when I had Munchie and J Hood on the podcast together, I talked about how I thought that it was important that I get them on the same page. I didn't know that there was going to be any potential for conflict between Spoety Face and J Hood, and I didn't know that the Wack thing was going to be